watching the clock, 10,000 hours go by. I keep putting in work, the tears are filling my eyes. I swear I've never been tested like this, but this is mine. It's not a matter of chance, just a matter of time. Never look back. If something standing in my way, I always push back. If something seemed impossible, I never took that. Nah, cause now I know better. Can't stop, won't stop, I won't quit ever. This world is won't take me. The highest fall, it won't break me. The blood and sweat is what made me, made me. I'ma get mine, just a matter of time.
Welcome back, guys, to the LCK. This is Joel translating for Bittel, and seems like Dangun. Actually, Dangun is casting today in place of Caster Jun, so I think we'll have his voice, but nonetheless, you guys will be hearing me, so it doesn't all matter. So we're here once again, and just to talk about the post-match segment. We talked about Griffin, and also Gen.G having their match number 1 today, and feels like really was a one-sided match in terms of how dominant Griffin got as soon as he got the advantage. And we talked about the champion interactions, and also with the composition of how everything was formed that got the win towards Griffin, and talked about Ash and other champions of that sort being significant to how Griffin got the victory today. And for game number 1, we're going to look at some of the replays here and see what we're going to get. This is our first clip. It really was just using the E to try to get sight of the vision, and Ash was trying to see nothing in the grasp, and we saw basically Nocturne being spotted out in the most upper top area of that jungle, so that allowed basically the Nocturne being spotted there allowed Griffin to play a little bit away, because we knew that the Gen.G had spotted them from the vision. So we'll see how that went out, and see how the second video all went out, because once again, E being spotted just to see the entire jungle area, see where anybody might be in the surroundings, and that was just basically, you know, people don't see E as a valuable asset anymore for the regular games, but for Gen.G that was about extending their vision and to make sure to see how they worked here. And once again, you know, we're looking at another E being thrown out there. Of course, putting that out in the jungle, and seeing spotting Tarzan right there with that Nocturne. And we don't know, you know, unless you put out that E, whether the Nocturne had gone home or is continuing on with jungling, and he got that spin. Still going for that red buff, and we'll see how that worked out, because it allowed Haru with the Rengar to path around the jungle. Another E. So this is the key point of this game number 1, and this was right here. You see Nocturne getting spotted once again, and we saw that just knowing where to stop the farming phase and stop the laning phase before they do back out was the key plays of Gen.G, especially with rulers. E that helped them get that initiative of knowing how the laning phase should be played out. Gonna see another E, seems like. So this is, we just saw this one, but and basically just all around, and this was just gaining vision, of course, not really knowing where the Nocturne is from the entire vision path of the jungle. That allowed Gen.G to play a little more careful, and Here we go once again. Ruler, just once again. This is seems like the highlight, and just going with once again just putting around and no wolves and just allowed just a top gank would have been a possibility with that wolf not being spawned away, and it just means that the jungle might have been around the area, so just allowed it to play a little bit careful, and also how that Nocturne was basically nullified in terms of how Ashe, just that one skill, did so well. And we saw how basically the big thing was trying to see how Griffin came up with the victory there, and still lots of fans having their faith in this rookie team. And it feels like an entertaining game in itself. We're going to go with a one-line summary. Of course, Bitdo doing all the work today and trying to come up with everything. It was really about the Nocturne, trying to shut that down, but it didn't allow that to happen because Gen.G seemingly lost out in the picks and bans, and we're going to get the one-line summary being the picks and bans is the completion of that is the play that got Griffin the win there. We're going to go to game number 2 to see how that went. And this was Dangun. I'm sure, going back to the caster deck, but we're going to send it back to you guys, Papa and Achilles, for the rest of the segment.
Thank you very much, Joel. I think next time we should just have you on camera if Dangun can't be there.
Sounds
Break
good.
things down. The microphone there. But we'll go ahead and take a look at the MVP from game number 1. It's going to be Tarzan on the Nocturne. 307 went through that entire thing deathless. Do you remember the one time that Haru went in pretty deep and tried to kill him? Had a Guardian Angel. And a standing 9.
It's true, and Haru noticed we didn't have a Guardian Angel this game, and given his job was kind of to waste time, perhaps he needed it. Well, this was very much team effort, very difficult to give MVPs. I like Lahens for some of the stuns we'll see, some of the taunts we'll see as the game goes on. Certainly got fed Tarzan in the early game as we had quite the Fiesta level too.
It was a really interesting start, to say the least.
I think a lot of people would have found the Hawkshot montage kind of curious and boring, but what you should take away is the Ashe was considered a counter to Nocturne Shen Galio, because with the Hawkshot, you know where the Nocturne is, and if you don't see him on any of the camps, you know he's in position to gank.
Yep.
They're just kind of highlighting how they attempted to shut down the Nocturne, and honestly, Nocturne didn't get a lot of ults off early in the game. It was only in the team fight phase where, again, it seemed like Gen.G would be able to disengage and do damage. It seemed like Gen.G had weathered the storm. It all came down to one fateful decision in the next fight. It really slowed down the Gen.G advantage.
Yeah, not this Infernal Drake fight, but the next one. Gen.G goes on to get this dragon in the end after a bit of a back and forth. Ruler was really trying to push them back, but it started off with this steal here from Tarzan.
Smite, and then the bait, honestly. Haru has a real rush of blood to the head. He gets the first Q because it follows, and then just gets baited for so long, killing a Guardian Angel.
Yeah, Fly tries to back him up, but to no avail.
Was a really bad decision there by Haru, probably the only noticeable one that had an effect on this game. The rest of it was so much posturing. Definitely a slow game between Griffin and Gen.G style, if you will, until this point, where you fly in and the Goomba Stomp is perfect. Shen Taunt here was excellent as well. They closed the game on those 2 picks, just ended from there.
Yeah, it really just kind of snowballed out of control. There was a lot of pent-up, or built-up pressure here, and once it was released, Gen.G just exploded, and they managed to just take that win in one fell swoop, as you say, going from that Dragon Steal into the Baron, into the victory. But I hear that music, and you have to wonder. It certainly can't be on the side of Griffin. No, it's going to be Gen.G, and we're going to see Ambition coming back in over Haru after his botched performance there on that Rengar. But what's this?
Oh!
It's going to be Fly. He's taken out for the first time in the summer split. We will see the return of the world champion. It's going to be Crown. We've been seeing him over and over again in the intro video, Papa Smithy, but he finally makes his return to the stage.
Big applause on both sides of the crowd. Even the Griffin fans happy to see the World Championship mid laner make his debut in the summer season. Crown has been on record, plenty of articles about him, going into stream chats and asking about the meaning of life and about his kind of never-ending sadness about not being a key member of that championship team last year. Felt like the 5th Beetle in many ways in that particular team. Hasn't been around, you know, he's not necessarily in Challenger either. A lot of feels bad man around Crown, but it's a feels good man to see him back in. What does it mean about the mid lane though? Now we have a big discrepancy in age. Chovy, our youngest player, Crown, one of our veterans here in Korea, and what has he been practicing? Could there be a Victor looking at his solo queue, there's a lot of champions. The one that jumped out to me is Syndra. We're seeing Syndra bans in the first round, in the second round, and Crown Syndra, by the time he got to Worlds, was legendary status.
Heck, it was, but he's had a lot of times just kind of waiting in the shadows, practicing up on picks. We know that Crown is a mastery player. He likes to master a champion before he brings it out. The Syndra was one of the rougher ones around the edges when he first started showing it, but it certainly did get there. It was a feared pick by the end.
Speaking of
feared picks, let's see how this is going to affect the draft. So far, it's going to be pretty standard. It's going to be the Rakan and the Vladimir yet again.
Feels really bad to ban away the Vladimir, but Griffin have played so well around it. Don't want to deal with it, and it's coverage ban. Ferula's champion pool. See if there's any changes in pick ban. I'm very intrigued to see how Gen.G will approach the blue side, because they're not really a flex pick team as a rule. They have very small effective champion pools and try to master them. They don't want to first pick Nocturne for Ambition, so they'll just ban it away on. But it's a blue side Nocturne ban. Kind of feels like a bonus for Griffin.
Oh, I'm sure they're going to be happy with it, but they themselves might have to be considering something like a Sejuani ban away. Over here on the red side, get that out of the hands of Ambition. For now, they're going to be keeping it pretty much the same with the Taliyah coming up next.
That will be a mid lane ban because you're not really respecting Ambition's Taliyah. He may have been a mid laner before, but that was before Taliyah was even released. So
could have been, Crown in the jungle. Maybe he was going to play jungle Taliyah. We saw Huni do it.
We're not to know. We're not to know. You're right, but I don't know if Huni can pull that off in the LCK. I would still love to see him, despite the drop in form. He is one of our favorites over here. Is Trundle's going to be banned, and Gen.G say, hey, remember Ambition Sejuani? We're first picking it. What do you guys want to do?
Yeah, Trundle going to be taken out, so Griffin might just have to get rid of the Sejuani here with their final ban.
There's so much up. The Zoe first pick could come out. The Aatrox first pick could come out. In the solo queue, most played recently is the Zoe for Crown, but the Sejuani was obviously what they were going to take. There was no ambiguity. If you ban Trundle, you do spare the world another stupid game of Trundle versus Sejuani. So
hey, thanks, guys.
That's at least good.
Maybe we get one half of an interesting matchup.
We're definitely going to see Nocturne. I'm wondering what the second champion will be. If it's Nocturne Zoe, I think Crown 100% plays Syndra on blue side. So the Shen Zoe is what I was thinking. And Syndra hasn't answered the Zoe. See if Griffin opt into it anyway. They'll definitely take the Shen for Lehens.
Okay. So now showing the Morgana. See what they want to piece together here. So now this kind of throws everything in flux. Maybe the Shen could end up in the top lane. And could see that Morgana pike lane.
I definitely think we're going to see the Morgana in the carry role, but you're right, there's some ambiguity here, and some teams might be priced into putting Shen into Mundo. I'm not a fan, but people have been playing around with it. Very early Mundo, so Cuve's not on the red side this time, and decides, let's just blind pick it, and then have Griffin have to commit to the top lane counter if it's a conventional one in the first round. Gnar was the champion we saw Sword have a good game against the Mundo on. The reason why you might want to do this is because you want to be able to double ban out a champion that isn't a Mundo counter. Because here as Griffin, you don't have your mid laner, most likely. You don't have your marksman either. And if they don't take a jungler, we're going straight down the tier list. So what are we going to decide on? Griffin say, well, if we take our mid laner, we can ban away the Syndra. That's what I would imagine they would do if they're going to take a first round Zoe. Syndra Galio could definitely be the bans here, although Crown is not known as a Galio player. That was always a gap in his champion pool.
So Zoe locked in. Sorry for those of you who wanted to see that Morgana in the mid lane. Yasuo going to be banned away.
I'm smiling because the first game I ever took note of Crown was 2015 summer. That was his first split. Well, he popped off on Yasuo, and I was like, what is this player? I knew very little about him. Went on to form a fearsome reputation, but not so much on the Yasuo. That's very much 2015 Crown. Do you just ban away the Syndra? That seems really obvious here as a pickup, and the answer is no. They see the Talon, the match history, and the Smite Talon can be the sort of thing to prey upon squishy junglers. Maybe doing a favor to Tarzan with the Talon ban.
Final ban here from Gen.G. Where do they want to go? Do they want to try to attack Viper's pool a little bit more, perhaps? No, it's going to be directed at Sword in the top lane, getting rid of that Gnar for the Mundo.
Wonder what the decision will be into Mundo now. So many of the conventional answers to Mundo taken away. Sword only recently being respected for playing for lane, was kind of a tank-only player in the Challenger Series. This would mean Morgana Soraka for just punishing the 2v2, and instead, we're going to see Tarzan actually jump onto the Zac.
Okay.
We haven't seen Zac in ages in Korea.
It's been a hot minute since we've had this one come through. Blank's watching at home and his eyes just lit up.
No marksman bans. Everything up. And the first marksman taken by Ruler is his so far no victory Kog'Maw. You look at the enemy team and there's not much there. And Malzahar's back, baby!
Oh boy, here we go. We see Crown. First time in the summer split. He's like, well, let's just go back to the pick that, won us the World Championship. I'll just get the Malzahar again.
There you go. Turn that frown upside down. Doesn't matter you were a Malzahar bot last year. Bring it back.
So we figured it out. Crown is not prepared at all for the 8.11 meta, so he's just going back to what he played and got success on. The Malzahar is coming back through.
It was a pick into the Zoe back in the day. We'll see the Kennen as an answer to a Mundo. You wonder if this will be an AP or an AD Kennen. We won't know about that till we're into the game. All right, so the Kennen, the last conventional counter up. If it's AD, you lose a lot of teamfight threat, and I think you need another person threatening the Kog'Maw, because in terms of backline, Achilles, you kidnap that Kog'Maw, you're feeling pretty good. You don't kidnap that Kog'Maw, no one's getting to it.
Yeah, you're probably pretty dead. So we'll have to see. They're going to have to rely on Sword for the lockdown. That slicing Maelstrom into the back line, allow for a really easy kidnap for Tarzan.
Chovy's ready to go. He's listened to Riot support. Cleanse that Malzahar ult off,
Oh,
baby.
yeah.
Hey, old jokes and you again. We got a stupid Malzahar mid lane.
Oh, good God. Well, luckily for Ruler, might not have any wins at the Kog'Maw, but he's got plenty of people who can just sit right in front of him and take those paddle stars to the face so that he can stay alive in the back line. Otherwise, no one really here offering him shields. Going to be a different style of Protect the Kog'Maw. Going to be going for just raw tankiness, the Devourer there. But otherwise, he's going to have to still be very reliant on his own positioning in these fights.
But it's not a Juggernaut comp. This is not going to be a frontline on the Kog'Maw like we saw yesterday from the good old frontlining Rise. This is going to be very much, hey, if the Kidnap gets the Tahm Kench and Kog'Maw, it's a double kill.
Oh, yeah.
The fight is over. If they don't, there's no backline threat unless we see AP Cannon, and AP Cannon is easier for the Mundo to itemize into. So I just want to get into game and see the Keystone to really understand how this game's going to go from the Griffin perspective.
All right, well, we've had a couple curveballs coming through in the draft. We got the Morgana Shen in the bot lane. We got the return of Crown and the Malzahar in mid. Let's see how it's all going to culminate as we get ready to go into game number 2. Griffin leading 1-0. Can they close it out cleanly, or Gen.G take us to a third and final? And welcome back to Summoner's Rift. The Gen.G fans.
Global fans.
Quite lying. We do have some global fans. TSM, we'll forgive them, you know.
He's really committed. He's got the shirt
They're here.
on as well.
They're watching the LCK, so I guess we'll allow it for now.
This is a really interesting game. Part of that is because of the personnel we have. Welcome back, World Championship lineup from Gen.G as both Crown and Ambition play. For the first time in forever, Achilles, these two have been parted for the majority of 2018. We also say welcome back to good old Kog'Maw and Zach from days past here. If you consider the Griffin team, it's really interesting because they've gone for on-hit cannon. This is the Cuvée build, of course. You can tell because press the attack is the choice when you're going into the AD side or the on-hit side. And the ability power side is the unsealed spell that, of course, Smed is very well known for. But that means, damage-wise, Griffin have to play really interestingly. Consider that their damage is on-hit cannon and the Zoe poke. They really have no other damage. Morgana can tick damage on the front line and gets a lot of cooldown reduction to just annoy, but doesn't have kill pressure for the majority of team fights. So split push is going to be really important for this team. Sword is going to have to do a lot in killing the Mundo and controlling the Mundo in lane, because they basically used last pick to dunk on Cuvée. That's what they got out of on-hit cannon, and they can turn that into split push, but usually lane pressure around top is combined with a Kindred or an invading jungler. That is not Zach. Yeah. Zach is there for team fight. The cannon is there for lane. Are they trying to do too many things at once? Was there two different ideas? Because the execution is going to have to be pretty perfect from Griffin. Otherwise, does look like Ruler's going to live a damn long time, and we know how that goes for a Kog'Maw.
And they also just don't really have anyone where it feels good to build a QSS. Just the cannon, if it goes for the full AD in the top
Black Shield
lane.
will help out. The Shen ultimate can help out. If you're ulting Zach, he's probably all right with it. but I take your point. Not going to necessarily be the cleanest. Remember, Ruler also drafted the Kog'Maw after he knew the bot lane outside of level 2 had pretty low kill pressure, and Tahm Kench answers binding or the taunt pretty cleanly. Morgana, when she was a mid laner, you could take anything against her and farm. If Kog'Maw farms, that's pretty good news for Kog'Maw.
There is a lot of chain CC potential here from the side of Griffin that if they can execute on it, should allow them to get some picks. But
again, in the early game, I agree, but it feels like very early we reach a point where Tahm Kench stands behind somebody and then you can't kill anyone. They really have low damage. It has to be about Sword Split Push, but then I don't really understand the Zac pick, because he's kind of a teamfight only champion. So this is one of the first drafts from Griffin where I'm a bit quizzical as to how it's come together, but it's the reality of drafting on 8-13. So many different things to consider about where team comps can go. Can Ruler find that all-important first victory on the Kog'Maw from the first game of the season? He's been trying to make it work.
Oh, just going to be the taunt into the binding here to chunk outcourt JJ for now. He'll be all right. He's still got 2 potions and a biscuit. Will be nice and healthy still on this Tahm Kench as they just keep trying to clear out the minion waves here.
Zac has to be used to turret dive top lane. The Shen, you have Morgana lane, and when Morgana's in the carry, you talked about wanting the pipe. That's the best part for a pick support, because Morgana can't really be turret dive, especially when she has a stopwatch available. She can Black Shield, she can ultimate Zonias. She's very, very difficult to kill, even safer than an Ezreal in a 1v2. That means the Pyke can roam. In this case, it means that Shen can ult elsewhere, and Duncan on Mundo has to come thick and fast. Otherwise, I'm really running out of ideas to see, outside of an insanely fed Zoe, how they have enough damage to kill the front line, much less the Kog'Maw.
Well, this should be a considerably slower start to the game than we saw in the first one. No real aggressive junglers coming through until we see that level 6 pop for either side. So it should just be steady as she goes.
I worry for Griffin in that scenario, but given that we have the comps like you mentioned, does seem likely you can readjust. Like, get comfortable, Achilles, back in your OGN chair. You've been cheating on us for a while.
You know, I thought it was an open relationship.
Nope.
But apparently not. We were on different pages,
you don't have
you
to
and I.
convince me. OGN Legion are the ones who need to be convinced.
I'm forever faithful to the OGN Legion.
What were you doing yesterday? Short memory, apparently.
I was taking a knitting class.
Uh-huh. Well, a lot of lane control here, but Cuvée just says, like we all did, I'll give up some CS. I'll be fine later. Where's my Spirit Visage at? Probably has to go Sunfire Cape first because of the AD nature. See if Sword will also go for Blade the Rune King Rage Blade for just the most on-hit physical damage towards that current HP. Welcome back, Crown. You're playing Malzahar, so not much to talk about in the mid lane until those level 6 all-ins begin.
Yeah. A lot of pressure you'd have to expect going to be here on Crown. First time out, goes back to a pick that we haven't seen in quite some time. You can't get a victory. Kind of have to think that it would just be Fly coming out in the next series yet again.
He's been playing a lot of champions. Again, in solo queue, if you look at his most played, he's played the Zoe. Didn't pick it this game when it was available. The Syndra we mentioned as a pick into the Zoe. Talia, of course, Malzahar was in there. The Orianna, we're seeing a little bit of Orianna back in the LCK. And the Talon that was banned by Griffin. So he's playing a lot of the meta champions. When we had our first coming of the Zoe meta, there was a lot of Malzahar into Zoe just to actually keep her around.
The Hand's going to be looking for the taunt here. Classic slingshot comes in. Tarzan jumping in, does not have the kidnap yet. Just going to be smacking them together. Tormented Soil only doing so much. The Devour's there. Ruler goes dangerously low, but saves both of his summoners.
Didn't have any deep vision, and ambition, to our information, was 6. So smart of Griffin to pull back in that scenario. Jovi's gone for first item, QSS, so going super defensive here, went for the cleanse to answer Sejuani's suite of CC, and then the QSS as well, but that means no lost chapter, potentially Crown, especially if he can get a blue buff advantage. Be in a good spot to push this very much a non-interactive lane. Pretty happy times for him.
The feel bad build. Have to go for that QSS early.
Cleanse and QSS, the ultimate defensive utility, but you know what that build means? It means no damage early, and we already know they have a lot of no damage late, so This is one of those games where, unfortunately, I bring out the Pop Smithy analysis of, could he afford to go QSS with how little damage they have later? Do you just have to outplay the Malzahar, which sounds amusing to say out loud, given how little outplay there is, but do you just have to go damage and hope for the best? Again, we'll wait and see. Griffin were able to defy expectation a little bit in game number 1, but the no damage potential could be game-ending for the side of Griffin.
Sword at the moment, getting pinched on. Ambition hovering up near the top lane, but a dive against a Cannon who's above level 6. Still going to be pretty risky, even with a Sejuani and a Dr. Mundo. So it seems like just going to be picking up the Krugs for now as Sword gets ready to go back to base. As the TP can go ahead and rejoin. Also that ward over the wall now.
Not going to be able to interrupt the back. They are interrupting the back, but Ambition was trained upon the Krugs. Good read by Griffin. They understand what's going on here, and the world's slowest Drake solo will come out from good old...
It's okay.
Oh wait, Shen's coming in.
We're going to speed it up a bit.
Hey, his Q does do damage to the monsters at least, so there are slower supports.
The Morgana wouldn't speed up that much, to be fair, either. Tormented Soil, a little bit.
No, there will be CDR actually on a big monster, so it would, but he's going to stay in lane 1v2, such as the Morgana. The stopwatch is online, by the way, Achilles.
Oh boy, here we go. Stopwatches, Nether Grasps, and QSSs.
Oh my.
So many things to keep track of. Welcome back.
It's a brand new game, a lot like the old game.
Yeah. Same as it ever was.
But spot lane is as non-interactive as can be. We're waiting for the pack-up go top lane strategy to happen. Every time a binding hits, I'm sure you want to get excited, Achilles, but Tom Kench is there, so it's not that exciting.
Yeah.
Getting Chovy the blue buff is very important because he went for the first item QSS, and there won't be a contest on that by Ambition. No real point trying to catch the Zoe in transition. She has Flash Cleanse QSS, so...
Yeah, good luck.
She can't kill you, but you can't kill her.
Yeah. So I don't remember if we ever figured it out if the Nethergrass comes through as she initiates a portal jump, if it severs when she goes back to her
Depends on the
spot.
range.
Yeah.
Depends on the leash range, but as a rule, no. I believe you can follow through it, but depends a lot about positioning and leash ranges.
Pushing down to the bottom side. This Viper takes quite a bit of damage. Gonna be all right though. So has that Stand United sitting right next to him.
The rule, of course, is that when you go through the portal jump, you will return, suppression or no, but the damage is the thing you're, of course, expecting there.
Yeah. Well, pushed off the tower. A lot of damage going to be coming through here from the side of Gen.G.
3 control wards to make this play happen. Once again, a nice vision advantage for Gen.G.
Joey finding Crown here in the river.
He can walk up. He should be confident. He's got Ignite, and also, of course, we know he has the QSS.
Crown also has the passive ready to go here, though.
When the minion wave's moving, that's what you really want to do is cut the minion wave. You never want the minion wave to be predictable against a Morgana, so she can't actually group the Tormented Soil onto all 6 minions, or 7 if the cannon's there. Seems like Gen.G, based on the draft, inching forward and forward towards a very good spot in this game. They've never actually given Sword any resources alone. He's going to chip away at the turret and has gone Executioner's Calling first. But there's been more attention from Ambition topside than there has been from Tarzan. He's only really making his first topside quadrant visit right now.
Ambition just going to pop over the wall. Tarzan going to exit out the back of the Baron Pit. And we'll keep things nice and slow going. Scuttle Crab going to be started up. Does Tarzan want to try to take this one away? Nope.
He's not going to do that. I love how Gen.G have been so good about moving their control ward line. We saw multiple 3 invest on the bot side. There's still 2, but they moved 1 top side to try to release some pressure. Cuvée has the I don't want to get turret dived by Zac control ward down as well. Again, laning phase, no fun, but Cuvée picking for the team, not for himself this time. If you trust anyone against on-hit cannon, he would be the one.
A lot of damage in onto the tower, so maybe Sword can just go ahead and naturally during the laning phase take this one down. Ambition hovering nearby, as is Tarzan. Both sitting on control wards, so no one is aware. Bit of damage coming through. Glacial Prison gonna get the lockdown. Here comes Tarzan looking for the pop-up. Into the slicing maelstrom from Sword. Gets the Stand United at the last second, but they drag him closer, and that's gonna be the first blood. Hand delivered by Tarzan. QV picking it up. Now Tarzan getting locked up. Passive still going to be available, but they should be able to take him down. Viper trying to arrive in time to keep his comrade in the fight, but it's not going to happen. 2 kills over to Gen.G as Viper arrives, looking for a finish here onto QV, but this might have been a bad decision. He'll go down. Not enough damage. You're just a Morgana, my friend.
I think, like we mentioned in Champ Select, Griffin got too tricky for their own good. This might just be a game ender, giving these early gold.
First
the side
brick
of
now.
Gen.G, it's first brick, it's 3 kills. Viper misplays that scenario pretty horribly. Doesn't even bother to use his stopwatch. Would have died after it anyway. Didn't have the damage to take anyone down. He hasn't built anything. And Crown pushes in mid lane. I think this series is going to 3, Achilles.
It's looking that way for JJ, bringing Ruler into the mid lane here with the Abyssal Voyage. And this might just be one of the fastest games that we'll see in a while here. As those turrets go down, already stretching over a 4,000 gold lead here for the side of Gen.G. The only thing that Griffin really have to their name is going to be that Mountain Drake. And, well, I don't know if they're going to get in a position to do any damage to towers, and even if they do, Sword is the only one that will chip away at them.
One thing we always talk about when making decisions is that sometimes you just need to keep it simple, silly. And I feel like that's exactly what Crown did. Come back to the roster, play the Malzahar. They go for a very straightforward comp with an identity. Meanwhile, for the side of Griffin, they've tried so many things. We already talked about how disconnected their last pick was. And speaking of that last pick, he's on the hunt here, his ambition for that cannon.
Arctic Assault just to lock him up, looking for the stun. Manages to get it here off the passive. Sword does not have a flash, will go low, but makes it out with his life. Fortunately here for him. So Ambition still applying pressure even without that Glacial Prison. And should just be Gen.G knocking down another tower. All the outers going to be falling here in less than 15 minutes.
Well, and Griffin's trying to avoid the perfect game at this point. I know it sounds very ominous to call the game over so early,
They
but
have a dragon.
that's true. They do have a Drake. All right, Griffin, whatever you want to do.
Go crazy.
You can go crazy, you silly, silly billies. You're fine.
Go dive the Nexus. You can FF. Do whatever you want.
Well, Morgana was already being zoned at her inner turret at 14 minutes, and she definitely needs every single minion she can get, noticeably 37 behind. Her opponent, oh boy.
And let's just do a Rift Herald to knock down the inner towers. And then let's get an Infernal Dragon.
I wonder who says my bad first, CV Max, their coach, or the players?
I think it's going to be a collective one. When they walk back into the booth, everyone's just going to be like,
oops.
yeah.
Hey, we've all been there.
Let's not talk about that.
Getting off on the wrong foot happens from time to time,
Yeah.
and
Time for a new start.
yeah. A best of one for all the marbles.
Oh, yeah. We NALCS now.
Hey man, best of ones can be hype. I prefer the best of 3.
Yeah. At least there's no ties.
I definitely feel, just on a completely unrelated topic as this one's over, is for Fnatic. I feel like if EULCS was best of 3, Reckless would actually be involved in the squad and could be subbed in, but because it's best of 1 with the mages, that's why he sees extra no play. I think best of 1 hurts out on Reckless. The Reckless fans can stew on that one. We're stewing on Gen.G, going for an almost perfect game here against Griffin. Oh, it's a rough one.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal. I mean, Griffin, come on. The late game team fighting gods, what you got?
I mean, they can't kill Cogmore ever.
They're also just not going to see a late game because this might just end around the 23-minute mark.
What was that sound effect? It sounded like clarity. Well, it's a lot of damage coming out of the mid lane here of Griffin, but nothing to do with Chovy. It is funny that he built QSS and did 279 damage.
Yeah, it's like a paddle star and a passive auto attack.
Did he hit a paddle star?
I don't know.
Maybe he missed them and got the W attack off a couple of times.
I'll be honest, I didn't have to pay attention to anything that Griffin were doing other than dying.
Yeah. Oh boy.
Nothing else was important.
Oh, well.
I don't even know if he landed a trouble bubble.
Yeah, I don't think he has. But, you know, it's not Chovy's fault this game. He's just skipping around on the Zoe. I would argue he should have built Last Chapter first in this scenario, but maybe he would argue he shouldn't be in this scenario, so kind of 2 ways to look at it. Griffin will try to get all the minions they can, but the gold lead in CS lead is going to balloon to the side of Gen.G. Can already see that Cannon is down on CS against the Mundo that's supposed to be countered by him. Oops. There's another one I'll put out there.
It's like that, how you brought up the concern as to whether or not Gen.G was going to be able to flip back in for game 2. And then Griffin just big brained the hell out of their draft.
I didn't know Crown was going to play Malzahar. So how's life been, Achilles? What's happening in Achilles land? We haven't seen much of you.
I know, it's been 16 days. You guys went over for Rift Rivals. I popped over to Shanghai just before you for some weird game that I did. It was a mobile game.
I don't ask about your life decisions anymore because I just don't see you that often. You're always gallivanting everywhere.
It was just a thing to do. I got to visit the LPL studio, so that was nice. I picked up an RNG jersey while I was there.
You were the one.
Oh, yeah.
You did it.
I did it. I had to. They won MSI.
Did you get excited about KT?
No, never.
See? We know.
I'm conditioned.
Max and I both came in saying, yeah, definitely 2-0 Hanwha Life against KT. And it happened off schedule. Speaking of schedule, Gen.G just rotating around.
Oh, I'm jumping in. Oh, but there's the Devour. Trying to pull him back. Flash is in for this one. The kidnap's not going to connect. Facial Prison will go wide. Lahen's arriving. Tries to cut his way back as the Nethergrass comes down. Seems like everybody's just going to make it out with their life. Finding connects on a Cubit, but he's a Mundo. So he doesn't care.
All the threat is down. The Zac can't dive a second time, and his flash is on cooldowns. Now the inner turret's going to go down.
Another dive into the back. Black Shield's going to be there. Everyone's turning in, looking at Tarzan. Slicing Maelstrom's going to be coming through here from Saw. They made the find one. That's going to be Ruler going down. Can they actually continue this one forward? Manages to get the pop there. A sword falls, but Joby finishes off Ambition. Now we have a reason to get excited here. Papa Smithy. That's going to be a double kill. Cube still going to be locked up. Tarzan bringing two back in. Cube falling low, trying to get a kill here onto the Zac. Cannot do it. Crown's going to go golden. And my God, Griffin, they've actually pulled it off. They get the ace.
It was looking impossible, but they found a way to actually kill the members of Gen.G. We'd written it off. We said no chance. The no chance becoming a maybe chance. They're going to need to do more. They have no damage turned onto a Baron. They can't end the game from this. Let's watch that big replay. Gen.G walk up. Tarzan has no ult in this play, but Sword, AD or AP Cannon, is able to stay in proximity of the members long enough that the base damage from the cannon is enough. Kog'Maw surprisingly goes down. And maybe this game lives from the side of Griffin.
And that was one of the most natural progressions into excitement that you'll hear from me in a team fight. This game looks so done in the favor of Gen.G, and then Griffin somehow just turn it around, get an ace in that team fight. Still going to be down a couple thousand gold here, nearly 3,000 in a deficit. Infernal Drake there for Gen.G. Only one tower taken for Griffin, but showing that they have the chops to try to turn this ship around.
They woke up the casters, they woke up the crowd. That is the start for Gen.G. Still behind in gold, still outcomped, I think, pretty severely here. If Tarzan gets a lot more backline access, who will know what could happen here from the side of Griffin? The ult from the Malzahar onto the QSS. Awkward in the last fight, so no real value there. All right, this is the time when you reset as Gen.G. Makes you still be confident. You still are in a great spot. But what Gen.G need to do is make the Zac accountable. Get the deep vision in. Don't allow him to come in with a big black shield. Remember, this is a carry black shield, so a high AP black shield, and just get into the backline. That's what they need to deny. They need to deny the Zac entrance. If they can do that, they should still be in a very good spot. But the wake-up call that I didn't think Gen.G would get this game has definitely happened.
You can see the QSS is still coming through. 3 of them built at the moment. And Tarzan and Sword sitting on some null magic mantles, so could just have the final 2 on the way very shortly here.
Does mean, again, that is quite a lot of the gold already is down. They're down 4,000, plus they've invested the better part of 4,000 plus gold on QSS. So that's a lot of money there that is invested that isn't damage. However, they can continue to leverage it like they did in the last skirmish. Maybe things can happen. Don't adjust your sets too much. Griffin is still in a really rough spot here. They're showing why. There's that intangible mystery around them, and their late game team fighting has been praised so much. They required Gen.G to make some pretty significant positioning mistakes, but they gleefully accepted those mistakes and got themselves back in the game.
Oh yeah, you take an opportunity like that, any chance you get it. Tarzan with the double jump going in. For now, though, looks like Dragon just going to be grabbed here by Gen.G, their second of the game. Just an Ocean Drake. Go alongside the Infernal. So, Griffin, fine to go ahead and give that one up. No way for them to really contest.
4 QSSs now loaded in.
Oh, yeah.
The theory behind all these QSSs in is, again, a big if. But if the Kog'Maw is actually on the Rift and in threat range, everyone's going to do their best to get there. No CC is going to stop them. They feel like if they pop the Kog'Maw, Crown is on unreliable damage champion, the Malzahar, maybe things can happen. But they have so little map control, they're going to need Blind Faith Achilles. They're going to need to just clutch it in the moment. And just clutching it may have been enough in Challenger. To be honest, Griffin fell behind quite a lot in Challenger, their early game. It's one of the reasons that people didn't rate them super highly when it came to the LCK. They've been able to square up their early game outside of isolated games like this, where really they made some big mistakes to seemingly just grant it to the side of Gen.G. But now getting more and more towards the mid game. They've got one plan, and it's flash and flash and flash till they get to the Kog'Maw.
Well, Gen.G still feeling quite confident despite the ace. Just pushing forward, charging into the jungle of Griffin so they can try to take down this inner turret mid yet again.
No way to spot the Zac, though. Doesn't even need a control ward. Just say shielded. However, this time Gen.G are like, wait, where's the Zac? Okay, and they aren't going to just walk up and be taken down. Zac against Tahm Kench has actually always been a good matchup for the Zac, because whether it's knocking the heads, because Tahm Kench always going to be in Devour range, or the ult getting a 2-for-1 special, there's always been some good interactions there. Rageblade will be the next item from Ruler, and that's when his damage will jump up in profile with 2 on hits to Phantom hit pretty frequently. Can they pull off a miracle here, Griffin? I would have said that's what they needed to get back into this game. It's called JJ just switching his summoners ad nauseum. Yeah,
I mean, just getting the 2-0 over Gen.G in general would have been pretty damn impressive, but getting a 2-0 after the start of this year, after the start of this game too, that would be very, very impressive here from the side of Griffin. And a very bad look for Gen.G, especially for Crown Ambition, who have been on and off this roster now.
Adaptive Helm would be a big pickup for basically anyone on Griffin, but I'm looking at Zac and Shen. It's going to be difficult for Shen to get it, but Zac, consider it's an on-hit Kog'Maw build, so Adaptive Helm was always strong there. Going to be a lot of magic damage because Wit's End is one of the pickups. But also the Malzahar ticking damage. Any sort of dot is going to be answered by Adaptive Helm, so it'll be a nice pickup. May just go Spirit Visage for the healing, but Adaptive Helm would be clean. No one else can really build Adaptive Helm because Zoe, Morgana, Cannon not really into those sort of pure defensive items. Do see the game from Gen.G has stalled out a lot. They haven't been able to get back to this turret. They can't control the different avenues for the Zac to get into. Backline. How about Baron, though? Because there is the Rageblade. Ruler's Baron damage is now something that has to be respected.
Yeah, gotta be pretty concerned about that one. As he's almost Flame Horizoning Viper. Flame Horizons really count this meta.
Not if there's a funnel going on, but I think in this sort of a game, sure.
Okay.
Definitely can't shout about it and use it as a reason that X is greater than Y anymore, sadly. Make a play Tarek, all bets are off.
This is true. If you had done that in like season 3,
oh,
it would have been
damage is pretty big.
Okay. Never mind.
That was when you build up your Phantom hit and then turn on to the Zoe. Doesn't matter if you have QSS, you die real fast.
Yeah. Well, Inner Tower finally does go down. Gen.G get it without getting aced. So they stretch their lead up to 6,000 gold.
To notice, we see Haunting Guys coming through on the Malzahars. They're trying to pop over
Up towards the wall we go.
Crown is leading them on a merry chase here because he's clearing the control ward instead of helping with the objective, but Griffin will eventually check it.
Yeah, the Scrying Orb went down.
Yep.
So, spotted it out. Gen.G just going to peel off. They want to play this one safely despite the lead that they've garnered for themselves.
So Haunting Guys here is actually just an item to increase the DPS from the Mals. There's a lot of QSS, but the Null Zone sticking on the ground and just the eventual damage amplification might be really important for Crown. He's already gone for the Void Staff. This ward is getting insane value.
Yeah, the MVP ward here. Tarzan and Lehen start pushing over, and that's going to draw Gen.G off it yet again, so no one's spotting that. Out's just around the corner from that control ward.
It's actually a really big mistake from Gen.G. This is a ward that got a lot of value, and then the moment that people saw it 3 times, it got scouted consistently. They don't have a control ward in the pit. They go back and buy 700,000 control wards, so hopefully they won't make the same mistake a second time. but Baron plays are kind of the highest percentage way to play around how threatening the Tarzan engage is. The only thing you give up in this scenario is more farm towards Griffin. Bit of a closing of the gold lead and the game becoming a 50,000-60,000 gold game instead of the current 50 to 44,000 gold game. Is there items that Griffin can leverage? Is a question I just don't really know the answer to. On-hit cannon, not really going to get too much more teamfight relevant. He's going to build probably the Rageblade Hurricane, I would imagine, to try to do damage.
Yeah.
The Void Staff already out for the Zoe. Viper much more about controlling rather than actually doing big DPS here, as he's got the Zonia's QSS for utility. I think Kennen has to be just auto-attacking as if he's a marksman.
Yeah.
It's possible, but unlikely for the side of Griffin.
Well, second Infernal Drake now spawning. Gen.G going to be prepped to start this one up as Crown unleashes the Voidlings onto it. The rest of the team splitting up towards the top side, or a few of the members splitting up towards that Baron there. Keep the pressure applied. So double Infernal now here for Gen.G. Griffin unable to steal it away this time around. Now they have that much more damage to offer up against the Baron to kill it that much faster.
Yeah, Andrews, there going to be big team fight increase for the Malzahar, who goes much more non-traditional AP stacking. Still going to be the same build there.
Seems like they're not even
for the
going to be
siege
looking
here.
for this yet.
Griffin's a little bit out of position.
Yeah, not going for the Baron yet. Just going to be allowing Ruler to try to get in there. Glacial Prison immediately comes in, but a big kidnap comes into the base from Tarzan. Viper going to go golden as he pops the chains, trying to lock them down, but Cuvée, yeah, he's a Mundo. He goes where he pleases. They'll pop Viper right off the bat. A lockdown onto Lehens as he tries to dash away, and Gen.G can just go ahead and forcibly enter the base, taking the first inhibitor and maybe even just the win.
And Crown just spent the whole time zoning away the Kennen. This time Kennen can't get anywhere near the fight. And like you mentioned, Achilles, they're just trying to end it.
We'll be going for this one. Jovi trying to clear out the minions. Tower's still under siege. Might just be falling here. A couple more shots from Ruler. We'll finish this one off. You can see Chovy gets chunked down below half HP just with a couple hits from that Cogmaw. He goes back over to the fountain. Gen.G going to settle the single Nexus turret here at the moment, but Abyssal Voyage into the pit. Now they want the Baron.
2 wards on it. Neither of them scouted out. Gen.G been very sloppy with that spot on the map. See if a teleport play comes in from Sword. Will there be a desperation? Will they give it up? We'll find out soon.
Well, the one ward is going to be spotted by the control here, but Griffin's still quite a ways away. Yeah, it's going to be the jump away.
Classic ambition. Can't miss the smite if the enemy's not in range to smite.
Yeah, and nobody else going to be in the vicinity to try to steal this one away. Core JJ, a large shield ready to go, but doesn't need it. Baron buff going to be gained here by Gen.G. A third Infernal on the way in case the game even stretches that long, but this one's looking pretty done.
We did have the heart palpitation. We did wonder if we'd misled the OGN Legion when that big team fight came in.
There was a hiccup.
It was definitely a positioning hiccup by the side of Gen.G, and they seem staunchly to not want to return to that. And we have to return to our champion select analysis of how good this game shaped up for Gen.G as it went longer, and further item purchases aren't going to change that. A Hex Drinker needs quite a lot of magic resist onto the Cogmaw. No popping of him. The auto-attack build is there for Sword, and one of the indirect reasons we see a bit more on-hit cannons, not so much the Mundo counter, but the fact that as you come out of the Lightning Rush, you get extra attack speed now, quite a lot of free attack speed on exiting from the Lightning Rush, so synergizes very well with the Rageblade Blade the Ruin King build. No extra threat onto Cogmaw was the big problem from the start, and now Gen.G trying to bait the base in a second spot. They haven't scouted out Shen and Kennen just yet.
Viper going to be seen. Tarzan waiting over the wall here at the moment. Will be leaping in. Black Shield's going to be ready to go. Looks for the grab onto Core JJ, but cannot find it. In the meantime, Viper going to get locked down. Goes down to half HP in the Glacial Prison. Now going to be coming through. He'll throw up the shield onto himself with a flash forward into the Tongue Lash. Forces him to go golden, but he's not going to be able to get out with his life. One more shot actually would take him down. Seems like he'll survive for the moment. Kidnap. They're jumping to the side there from Tarzan. Tries to take himself out the safety. Flash forward. Cuvée comes up the kill in onto Sword. Now looking for a little bit more. Griffin just heads for the hills, trying to make it back to the fountain with their lives. Chovy going to flash away, slowed up by the Cleaver. Seems like he'll make it out safely, but Gen.G can go ahead and just finish off the game. Nexus going down, about 32 minutes on the clock. This one was pretty clean for the most part. The one speed bump that they hit when they got ace, but otherwise, Gen.G always had this one in their hands. They closed it out and they forced us to game number 3.
It's a bit more of an iceberg, I would say, rather than just a speed bump when it came to what could have happened here. But this Titanic didn't go down. History is rewritten. Gen.G are able to win, and this final assignment for Griffin in the first round robin. They have hiccup. They have lost one of their few games. 5th game of the season they have dropped. I wonder if we'll see a roster change on their side. My first thought is no. Gen.G going to keep it the same. I think there needs to be a big adjustment in the pick ban here. CV Max on your screen. Just too narrow a win condition. They didn't really have parts of a team comp that came together. No invading jungler around the cannon pressure. No ability to have backline threat onto the Kog'Maw outside of just the Zac. But the second round in general let them down in a pretty significant way, and that's something they're going to have to address in game number 3.
Well, now that Crown's back in the mix, the Malzahar is something that has to be a big concern. The force onto the QSS is early. It's that, especially the likes of Chovy, just has no damage really to offer up against Gen.G. They managed to get that one miracle ace, but otherwise, they were just starved out of this game 2. Not many other opportunities for Griffin to try to step ahead. I think they maybe killed just the one tower the entire time.
Good stuff from Gen.G, but made too easy for me by Griffin's draft. I think they really did not do very smart work in that area. The Morgana Shen didn't really impress us either. Let's see if Crown gets forced on another champion, because on his resident Malzahar, he was solid, he did his job. I thought Ambition and Crown had really good situational awareness, being extra peel for the Kog'Maw.
Yeah, over 11,500 gold by the end, 10-1 in towers. Griffin now have to bounce back, shifting over onto the blue side yet again. Let's see if they can close out game 3, take down Gen.G, or for the return of our world champion mid laner. Gen.G can stop them in their tracks. Don't go anywhere, guys. We'll be back in just a few minutes with game number 3.